All right, welcome back to the episode of the Power Sports Memorabilia Show. I am your host, Matt Powers. Thank you again for joining me. Please visit the website, powersportsmemorabilia.com. Also, give me a follow over there on Instagram at Powers Autographs. So, should you be using debt to buy sports memorabilia? I'm talking cards, autographs, any sort of collectible. Now, for those of you degenerates who have a very short attention span, the answer is obviously no. But I'm going to kind of dive into a little bit more here and maybe hopefully kind of reason with you and give you my thoughts on debt and also collectibles. So I was going through my website a couple days ago, and I have a Shopify website. So on Shopify, well, pretty much any website, you can see exactly how people have paid you. So whether they paid you via PayPal, or they used a credit card, or they used an installment plan, which Shopify has on their site. So that's where you can make, I think it's 4 installments over a certain period of time on whatever you buy on someone's website. And they end up actually charging us more for that. So please don't use that. But anyway, I noticed a lot of people have been using this Shopify installment plan. And what that tells me is a couple things. Is number one, people don't want to pay for the item right away. They'd rather pay for it, obviously, over 4 installments. But it's also telling me, and this is just my hunch, that people probably don't have the money right now to be buying whatever certain item they are buying at this moment. Again, that's just my hunch. And the reason why I say it's a hunch is, here in America, we are consumer driven, meaning we are always kind of buying the next latest and greatest thing. And we have a lot of consumer debt in this country. And I think the latest statistics was like 8 out of 10 people in this country live paycheck to paycheck. And there's nothing wrong with living paycheck to paycheck. If you're just getting started, or maybe you're kind of starting over with a new career, whatever it is you got going on, as long as you're making steps to, get out of that cycle, because we've all lived in that, paycheck to paycheck cycle where $100 here, $100 there was a big deal. And so it just got me thinking, are people using debt to a certain extent to buy collectibles through the website? And I was thinking, well, gosh, is this something that I want to address? Is this something I want to bring up? Is this even kind of my lane for some of these things? And then I saw a video today that a certain, I don't know if I want to mention it, but a certain company out there was giving loans out for items. For example, you could bring them, let's say, a sports card that was valued at, let's just say, $10,000. And they would give you maybe 80% value of it. So if it's worth $10,000, they would give you a loan of $8,000 and hold on to the card as collateral, right? Well, obviously, sports cards have gone what? Way down. So let's take, for example, that $10,000 card 2 years ago might be worth $3,000 now. So this company that gave out an $8,000 loan in this example is now upside down on this card, probably $5,000. And that's probably just on a small scale. So it kind of brought me up to this idea of debt and collectibles, and is it a good thing? And if you're ever on social media, you see every single influencer and their mother is teaching you to how to go get a bank loan and go buy this house, and you'll rent it out to someone else, and they'll pay for your mortgage over the next 15, 20 years, and it'll be perfect every single time, and you'll make money, and you'll just use the bank's money to get rich. Well, sometimes that works, but most of the time it doesn't. And one thing that we're kind of forgetting about here is risk, of course. And, anytime you're taking on debt or you don't have the money to buy something, you are getting it from somewhere else, right? And they're, of course, charging you an interest rate. But there's also the risk that, hey, listen, you may not be able to afford whatever that payment is at some particular moment. Let's say, for example, you get a medical bill that pops up, or something happens in your life where, hey, you've got to change gears and now you've got to pay for this. So my point being is the last thing we want to have in life is debt with collectibles. I mean, it almost sounds comical saying it, because sports cards and autographs are meant to kind of bring enjoyment into our lives. I mean, I'm not really selling investments. I don't look at it that way at all. I'm really just selling moments and emotions and things that make you smile, things that make you feel good, brings back good memories. I can think of all the pieces that I have in my collection that every time I look at them, I smile. I don't know what the heck the value is of it. It doesn't even matter to me because that's not why I have the piece. I don't really care if it goes up in value. There's no other value to it other than the sentimental value of the piece. And I don't think I could enjoy that piece if I had debt attached to that piece, if that makes sense to you. So I think in this country, and they always say this, I love when people say this, is we're the wealthiest country in the world. Well, in what parameters are we using? I mean, if we're including assets minus liabilities, we're pretty freaking broke. So I don't think we're really all that wealthy. And I think the financial literacy, in this country is not great. Now, listen, I'm no financial guru, but I can understand simple math. And I understand that if I have $100 in my bank account and I go take that $100 and go buy a $100 piece of sports memorabilia, that's probably going to put me in a pinch. I'm going to have rent coming up. I'm going to have food. I'm going to have whatever it is coming up. So probably not a good idea to do that. I also understand that if I'm going to go buy an item for resale purposes and buy it at $100 and go sell it for $110, I know that I'm going to make $10 in that. But if I go buy it for $100 and go get financing for that, and then all of a sudden I can't sell it, well, now I'm confused as how I'm going to make money on this thing now, because now I'm paying the bank. I still got this other piece that I can't sell. It's very confusing to me. I'm not that smart to figure out all that stuff. What I can figure out though is I have $100. I give up $100 something. I sell it for $110. I make $10. But getting all these financial numbers and all this kind of creative financing that people like to use nowadays, it's well above my level of understanding and above my IQ. So I like to keep it real simple, and that's my message today for you guys: is to keep your collecting simple. Only buy things that you actually physically have the money for. And as long as all your other needs are met, your rent, your food, your car, whatever it is that you have that are more important than your sports collectible needs. Heck, I would even argue your bed is probably more important than your sports collectible needs. You spend 8 hours a day in that thing, you might as well get a really nice one. So I just don't want to see people get caught up in this whole debt trap with collectibles. A lot of people were doing that during the pandemic when they were, thinking, oh, I can just go get a $10,000 loan from this card. In 2 months, it's going to be worth $15,000 and I can pay it off and I'll be good to go. Well, guess what? We didn't factor in risk there and things change. So I don't really look at collectibles as investments. I think we've really got to kind of shift our mindset from that. Yes, you can buy and sell and do all that kind of stuff. That's what I do. But I don't buy and hold things as investments. I buy mutual funds and hold those. I buy a house and hold those. Those to me are actual real investments. These collectibles are really just fun emotions that I'm buying that I get to enjoy the pieces. And I think you guys will certainly enjoy pieces more when they are completely debt-free and you actually physically own them. Because guess what? Just because you bought it and put it on a credit card, you don't actually own it. You may physically have it here, but you still owe that note to the bank. So, and I think our lives are, I know our lives are much better with clear when we don't have debt hanging over our head on especially silly collectibles. Imagine explaining to your wife and all these people in your life that are important to you. Yeah, I can't afford that, my rent now because I've got $10,000 tied up in sports cards that I can't sell. We don't want to run into that trap, So again, only buy stuff that you can afford. And guess what? Don't be afraid to admit you can't afford something. We've all done that. There's certain things in life I can't afford. And I got no problem with that. I don't want to be chasing down things and getting all flustered because, I can't afford it and I really want to buy that and I think I should be able to own that. I deserve it. Well, guess what? I'm not buying a Lambo, all right? Can't afford a Lambo. So I think the same thing definitely applies to memorabilia. I try to stay within my means and buy stuff that I think is going to sell rather quickly because I don't want to be holding on to stuff forever. So that's my point of today's topic here. Take it with what you guys want. It's your money. You do what you want. But like I said, 8 out of 10 people in America are living paycheck to paycheck. So we just got to be real careful what types of collectibles that we buy and just make sure that you have that money in your bank account. So Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I wasn't sure I was going to make it or not. It's kind of weird coming from a guy who is in the industry, who has stuff to sell you, but at the same time, I want everybody to have a good experience, and I don't want people second guesses on purchases and then having to take a return and going through all that process. And nobody wants to do any of that. So, in the embarrassment of having to say, "Hey, I can't afford it," and which again, I would rather have somebody say, "Hey, listen, what's the best you can do in that price? Hey, it's $500, man. Huh? I can't afford that. Hey, you know what, man? Great." No problem. I appreciate you saying that. It's not a big deal, man. There's definitely points in our lives where we've all couldn't afford certain things, and I've definitely been on that boat for sure. So, but anyway, don't forget to visit the website, powersportsmemorabilia.com, and when you do, buy something that you can afford. I definitely would appreciate that, and I know you and your family would appreciate that. And also give me a follow there on Instagram at Powers Autographs, and I will see you guys on the next episode.